Hi, it's Jane from KF Accounting. So this week I had one of my clients ask me about what he could claim for his mobile phone expenses. So mobile phones have really become something that we can't live without. I definitely discovered this for myself when I left my phone in the office last night. And I was really lost. So in a relatively short space of time, they've become absolutely integral to our personal lives and to our business. And so how do you go about claiming them in your expenses? Well, in the old days of the landline, things were pretty simple. There was a business phone line in your office, and then you had a personal phone line in your home, and business and personal were very separate. But obviously with a mobile phone, you don't want to be carrying two mobiles around. So it's much easier to use the same phone. But how do you separate out what's business and what's personal? What can you claim for your mobile phone expenses? Well, the way that they're treated is different depending on whether you're a sole trader or a limited company. So if you're a sole trader, it's a bit more straightforward because as a sole trader, you are your business. So all the expenses you claim have to be wholly and exclusively for the purposes of business, which basically means that you have to knock out an element of personal use for your mobile contract and calls. So how do you work this out? Well, there's no set formula for doing it. You just need a method that is logical and that you can explain and is reasonable. One method might be to take maybe 2 or 3 months of your calls and go through them, work out what percentage is business and what percentage is personal. And then you could apply that personal percentage to the phone bills for the rest of the year. Maybe review it once a year. So that's one method, but you don't have to use that. You can come up with your own as long as it makes sense, it's reasonable. So how about for a limited company? Does it work in the same way? Well, unfortunately, the answer is no to that one. For a limited company, things are more complicated because you and your business are separate legal entities, and you're viewed as a director, you're viewed in the same kind of way as an employee of the company. So you do start to get into the potential for benefits in kind if you're not careful. So there's probably 3 different ways that you can cover your mobile bills through a limited company. The first and probably the best option is to have the company own the mobile and the phone contract in the company name. Recent changes mean that the company can now provide each employee with one mobile phone or SIM card without it being a benefit in kind. And you can have some personal calls as long as they are reasonable. That's probably the easiest way to do it. But if you've got an existing contract, it could mean transferring it to the business. And also the business contracts tend to be a bit more expensive than personal contracts. So although you'll be saving some tax, you might find out actually overall you could be paying more on the contract. So on balance, you might not actually be saving as much as you thought. So what about if you have a personal contract and you're tied into it, or you're happy with it? The first option then is to have the company pay for the contract through their business account. Now in this case, that would definitely be a benefit in kind. So it would be reported on the P11D, and there would also be Class 1 national insurance to pay via the payroll on the benefit. So what's the other option? Well, the other option is that the contract's in your name, you pay for it personally, but then you claim some money back from the company. So if the company was reimbursing you through the payroll for your phone contract and your personal calls, then again this would be a benefit, and you'd be paying PAYE and national insurance, class 1 national insurance via the payroll on the cost of the contract and the cost of your personal calls. But obviously, if there were business calls as well, you wouldn't be paying this tax on the business calls. And if you do have business calls above the monthly tariff, then they would have to be declared on the P11D. But as I said, there'd be no tax to pay on these. So an alternative option might be to go through your monthly phone bill, work out have you got any business calls, and then charge them back to the company. Now, in this case, there wouldn't be any tax to pay or any benefits in kind, but you might find actually there are, all the business calls you're making are covered by your monthly tariff. There's no additional cost, in which case there'd be nothing to claim. So what's the best option? Well, the option you choose really is going to depend on how many business calls you're making and whether you're tied into an existing personal contract. So if you're making a lot of business calls or you are about to be in the market for a new phone contract, then maybe think about getting the phone through the company, because if you do want to claim your mobile expenses through the company, this is definitely the easiest way to do it and still allows you to have an element of personal use as well. If you're not making very many business calls, then you're probably just best off either just letting them be covered by your personal tariff, not claiming anything, or if they do cost you a bit more, just claim for the extra costs. The middle ground of reimbursing the contract via the payroll is, I don't think, going to be worth the extra tax and extra hassle for the majority of people. But again, the decision is up to you. So how about VAT? Well, for the VAT registered sole trader, you can include the VAT, but only on the business percentage, not the personal percentage of your calls. If you're a limited company and the phone is through your company, the phone contract's through your company, then you can have all the VAT on that. Otherwise, you can just claim the VAT on the business calls that you're recharging to, or the business calls that the company is paying for. So just to summarise, sole trader, you need to work out your percentage of personal use and knock that out of your phone bills. Limited company, the best option is to have your phone through the company, your phone contract and the phone itself. But if you can't do that, probably the easiest thing is just to charge business calls over and above your contract tariff. Otherwise, you do start to get into benefits in kind and things get more complicated. So I hope that helps you make a decision about how to deal with your mobile phone expenses through the company. And I'll see you next time.